All right, well, I guess I'm not as smart as I once thought I was, because I'm doing this for the second time here. Um, anyway, so I'm working on this. I'm working on this desk, and what I'm doing now is I'm building the drawers. There are four big drawers that go in this in the case in the lower part of this desk. They're very big. Um, there are four drawers. The top drawer is about 3 7/8 inches tall. I'm going to say tall because I think of depth as the distance into the casework. So this is from here to here is 3 7/8, maybe less a 32nd. This is the top drawer. The next drawer down is an inch taller. The next drawer down is an inch taller than that, and then the bottom drawer is 6 7/8 inches tall. Anyway, so this is the top drawer. This is the side, and this is the back of the drawer. Haven't thought about the fronts yet, but anyway, the back. This is 3 1/4 inches. This board is 3 1/4 inches wide, and this is the top of the drawer right here. The reason that the back is held short of the bottom is that when this drawer is put together, there will be a groove that runs down the inside of the side, across the back of the drawer front, and then up the other side, so that when this is all put together, the drawer bottom will slide into that groove, and it'll be captured on three sides, and then the top of the drawer bottom will be even with the bottom of the drawer back. Okay, so well, that's how it works. So the joinery on all four corners is all four corners will be dovetail joints, and and on the back, on this drawer, I'm going to have 3 dovetails, and the dovetails are cut into the side, and the side then is known as the tail board. Didn't mean for that to happen. The sides are known as the tail board, and then the back, what those dovetails fit into, are there's sockets, but in between the sockets are what are called pins, or just basically wedges of wood, the way it's cut. And so this board will be known as the pin board. So the tail board and the pin board. And so when this is together, when this is joined together, what I want is I want to have some material left here, and I want to have some material left here, and then I want 3 dovetails in here. And I don't know if you can see it, but I made a little mark right there, little pencil line there. I don't normally use pencils on this, or any pens. I usually use a knife cut. No pens or pencils. But anyway, in the back here, you could really just eyeball this stuff and start cutting and lay it out, because it really doesn't matter in the back that anything be terribly precise, because nobody's ever going to see this joint. The only time you would see this joint is if you pulled the drawer completely out to look at the joint, and nobody's going to do that. In the front, at the other end of this board, same on the other side, where the side is joined to the front, different story there, because this is poplar. It would be called secondary wood, and the front, in my case, and in my desk, is going to be walnut. But whether it's walnut or cherry, whatever that wood is that you see, is called primary wood. And every time you open the drawer, you see that you see the joinery there. So it's more important in the front that it be laid out precisely. But anyway, as long as I'm back here, I just thought I'd show how this can be done if you're not just eyeballing it. So I'm going to lay this out accurately. So anyway, what I'm going to use, let me turn this, I don't know if you can see these, but several years ago, my wife and I were at there's a local flea market that, you know, I mean, if the weather's nice, it's all year, every weekend. And if the weather's nice, it's acres of people with trucks and vans and tables, mostly selling stuff out of their garage that they've accumulated. But every once in a while, you find something that's worthwhile. And you know, maybe because you know, Pittsburgh was once you know, decades ago the steel capital of the world. You know, you can find well, you can find machinists anywhere, but people involved with steel fabrication and things, once in a while you'll see parts out there, tools for sale, or some woodworker might have some old planes or saws or something that he's selling, something that might be worth fixing up. Anyway, so we were there, and then there's usually a couple of produce companies have some big vegetable stands set up, you know, stuff from the farm. But anyway, we had just gotten there. We were walking around, and there was this elderly man and his wife sitting in beach chairs next to their van, and the guy had a couple of tables set up and a bunch of tools. He was a retired machinist, and again, most of those tools, I mean, are not really appropriate for woodworking. You know, we're not making steel parts with close tolerances. But anyway, the guy had a coffee can with a bunch of small tools tossed in it. So I was digging around in there, just you know, out of curiosity more than anything else. But I pulled a couple of things out of there, and I recognized, even though these are kind of grimy, little bit, I was able to see the manufacturer's name on these three tools, these two dividers and this little calipers here. Now, I've got no use for this really, but it was there, but I do have use for these dividers. And so I said, how much you selling the little tools in this coffee can for? He said, how about $3 a piece? So I dug around in there, and I pulled these three items out, and I said, how about if I buy three? How much are these three? He said, well, give me $5. So I gave him $5, and then I was very happy with my purchase as we walked away. And I was telling my wife that these Starrett tools, I mean, I don't know how many decades ago these particular ones were made, and Starrett is still in business, and they make tools for machinists. And I don't know exactly about how much this would be, but probably about the same. But if you were to buy these dividers today, brand new, they're, give or take, they're about $50 a piece. Now this one's missing the handle on top, you know, the little, but you know, they still work fine. And you know, and this. Anyway, I went back a month or so later, and every once in a while I'm hoping I'd see the guy. I never saw him again. But anyway, so I'm going to lay these dovetails out with these dividers. So the way it's done here, again, I don't know if you can see these marks or not, because this little this camera, I don't think it's really great for close-up pictures. But I made a line right here because I don't want to disturb this material, and I made a line right here because I want to leave this alone. So the dovetails are going to be in between there, and the way that can be laid out so that they're all exactly the same. Again, not critical here in the back, but I'm doing it anyway. Is you just sort of estimate how big you want these dovetails to be. But I put one point down on that line, and I would normally just poke this into the wood and there'd be a mark, but I made a little pencil mark right there. So then you come over and you do that again. Come over, make a little mark, and come over. And so the distance from that line right there, which you probably can't see, to the point is probably, I'd say 3/32. But again, I don't want my dovetail to be in here. So I come back to that line and walk back across in the opposite direction. Make a mark, put the point there, make a mark, and then again, I'm 3/32 of an inch past this mark I've made there. And then you can adjust this so that you end up with more dovetails or less dovetails, or a closer space or a wider space. But anyway, doing it like this ensures that these three dovetails at their widest point here at the end of the board are exactly the same, and the space between them is exactly the same. And again, not critical here in the back, but in the front, where you want to be, very precise and make it look very, like you knew what you were doing. That's more important. So that's what that's going to look like. And then so I'll make lines across there, and then you have to cut these dovetails obviously at an angle so they look like a dovetail. Theoretically, they look like a tail. And so what I'll end up with, this is a small drawer that I made a long time ago, but you get these dovetails so that they're laid out evenly. See, there are 3 dovetails here and only 2 in the back, but they're like that so that the back, I mean, it's all glued up, but so the back can't possibly push out that way. And then inside here, this is the drawer bottom right here. So the drawer bottom goes into a slot. The top of that bottom, again, even with the bottom of the drawer back, and then there's a groove that runs on 3 sides. And then when this is eventually done, I mean, I made this years ago, but when it's ready to go, I'll probably run some glue inside that groove in front so the drawer doesn't come out. But then you don't glue it anywhere else. That way, if there's any seasonal expansion or contraction of the wood, it can push out the back a tiny bit. And anyway, so but these are where these drawers are going to go. This is just in here. I just want to see if everything's even over there after the big flood. Make sure nothing warped. But so this drawer here is 3 7/8 of an inch high, 4 7/8, 5 7/8, 6 7/8, and so 16, 20. So there'll be 80 or 90 dovetails that I got to cut to put these 4 drawers together, and so might take a little while. Anyway, that's that.